Friends, Louis here, and I just wanted to talk very briefly this evening about slander and strife and ugly stuff in the church. I think we have all been exposed to slander and strife and nastiness within the body of Christ. If we attend a church for long enough, we're going to come up against that, and obviously we have to ask the Lord for wisdom and to be meek and gentle, not to just be, biting back. And I would like to just read an interesting verse about that here in Galatians 5, verse 15, which says, "But if you bite and devour one another, be careful that you don't consume one another." And obviously we have to not bite back. People are always biting. But now, my question, and I think we've all thought about this a lot, is why are people often so petty, so nasty, just looking for fault, being, slandering each other even within the church? Why does this go on? And here it explains very clearly in Galatians 5 that it is simply a lust of the flesh. It says here, but in the very next verse, "But I say, walk by the Spirit, and you will not fulfill the lust of the flesh. For the flesh lusts against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh, and these are contrary to one another, so that you may not do the things that you desire." This is simply a lust of the flesh, this biting and being ugly. And then it goes on, and it flows into the famous deeds of the flesh in verse 19. It says, "Now the deeds of the flesh are obvious." Now it lists some very ugly things over here, which are adultery, sexual immorality, uncleanliness, lustfulness, idolatry, sorcery, hatred, strife, jealousies, outbursts of anger, rivalries, divisions, heresies, envy, murders, drunkenness, orgies, and things like these, of which I forewarn you, and even now have also forewarned you, that those who practice such things will not inherit God's kingdom. This is actually very key, because when we read through this list, we normally notice the really ugly stuff like the adultery and all of that, but we don't notice that it includes envy and hatred and jealousy and outbursts of anger, and it also and divisions, and it also includes heresies. Peter speaks of damnable heresies, a heresy that is damnable, that can cost us our salvation. And it also says here that it's a deed of the flesh. Now, why am I mentioning this in connection with slander? I wanted to say, when you feed the flesh, it's like a monster. When you feed it in one area, it just craves in every other area. And for example, a ministry that goes into full-blown apostasy usually is marked by adultery. And I can think of some leading pastors who have gone and had affairs, even while they're leading revivals or standing in the pulpit. They won't step down, here in South Africa and obviously in America and many other countries. But there was something coming before that, heresies. They were feeding heresies. So I'm saying we cannot feed the flesh. And if you're in a church where the people are being really nasty and that, then I think maybe you should just quietly move on, because they are obviously feeding the flesh. And when you feed one part of the flesh, then every other deed of the flesh starts to rear its head. And I just thought I'd share this short message with you this evening. It's kind of just impromptu on the moment. I hope this helps you, and blessings to you until we chat next time. Blessings.